We see a lot about shunning. We rarely see anything about the shunning of CSA victims and survivors. This is very sad. As bad as shunning is, can you imagine how much worse it is when a victim or survivor of CSA is shunned because of what happened? Because they tried to get help, because they tried to protect other children by getting something done about the perpetrator. Because they had to begin a lifelong journey of trying to get some kind of healing and justice. And for that, they are shunned. From a strategic point of view, of someone whose main cause is trying to get something done about shunning, can you imagine how much more effective you would be if you placed front and center the fact that CSA victims and survivors are shunned? If it wasn't for CSA survivors coming forward, we would be absolutely nowhere in this fight against Watchtower's abuse. And maybe the reason why it is taking so long to get anything done about shunning is because the full horror of it is not being put under a spotlight.
And now sources say the state attorney general is going further, looking at whether the church statewide has systemically covered up sex abuse and kept allegations from law enforcement. EJ says when she was 14, she told her parents, who in turn reported the man to the church elders, who she says conferred with the society, the church headquarters in New York.
And the three elders said, we reached out to the society and they have directed us to let you know we are not going to the police. We are not pursuing any criminal charges because it would be a bad witness for Jehovah.
She says the elders then called her a Jezebel, a biblical reference to a shameless, unrestrained woman, and that she had bought this on herself.
They called me a whore and a seductress, and it was my fault, and I led them on. I think that was the moment where I learned the lesson that I had no value, that I didn't have guilt for doing bad, I just had shame for existing, that no one was ever going to protect me.
For his crime, E.J. says her abuser was disfellowshipped, meaning he was temporarily shunned by church members. But she says 2 years later, he was welcomed back into the fold, welcomed even by her parents.
I saw my mom talking to my offender, laughing, smiling, like it was her best friend. And I said, Mom, why are you talking to him? And she said, well, if Jehovah forgave him, I have to too.
Later, E.J. decided to leave the church. Her parents shunned her, and she says their message that she was no good turned her life even further into despair.
I became a drug addict and alcoholic, married, divorced twice.
Right.
You know, can't keep friends, always angry. It took me till I was 37 years old to realize, oh my goodness, I'm not a harlot, I'm a victim.
Clean and sober now, E.J. testified in front of the grand jury about her trauma, where she was asked questions about a church practice called the two-witness rule.